I'm Freddy Krueger.
Aren't those supposed to be knives?
Yeah, but I couldn't find the knives in the prop room.
Hi, I'm Sammy.
Hello, I am Robert, and today's movie is 1984's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ooh.
What's it about?
Oh, well, it's about a child murderer who takes revenge on teenagers' dreams from the parents that killed him.
Yeah, starring Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, the child murderer. And he's in a lot of makeup, and he's all burnt up and stuff, because that's how the parents killed him. How many movies have there been? Do you know how many Nightmare on Elm Street? Not even
I would
Nightmare.
say at least.
How many movies with Freddy Krueger have there been?
Man.
Because he did a whole crossover with Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th and stuff.
Right.
You have any sense of how many movies there are?
Let's go with 7.
7.
Yes.
There have been 9 movies.
I was pretty close.
With Freddy Krueger. You were very close. There's I don't even know how many Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And then there's the Jason movies, and there was a reboot recently, also called Nightmare on Elm Street, which replaced Robert Englund with Jackie Earle Haley, who was in the Bad News Bears. But I want to say this, because everybody, when they hear Freddy Krueger and they hear Nightmare on Elm Street, they think maybe of the later movies in the series. Now this movie, the first one, the original one, is a damn good horror movie.
It is.
It's just a straight, no BS, scary movie.
Yeah.
Now starting with number 2 and going all the way to whatever, 7 or I don't even know how many Nightmare on Elm Streets they made, they get progressively campier. Freddy gets a lot of one-liners in the later movies, like, nice to skewer you, and then he stabs somebody with a skewer or something like that. It just, for me, they fell apart. This movie is super good, super scary, I think. Did you find it scary? There's scary scenes.
I think if I was alive when it came out, it would have been more scary.
But now you're in the jaded generation.
I'm in the jaded part of, the century or the time.
I don't really. So there's really almost no probably CGI in it. So I can't blame the special effects on that. Why do you feel that? Just because you've seen?
I've seen so many different effects, but it didn't lose this movie, even though it is much older than some of the newer movies today. It didn't lose that effect of being a good horror film.
What is your scariest scene or shot from this movie? I'll go first if you want.
Okay, you go first.
So he's chasing, it's fairly early in the movie, and you don't even know who he is really yet, and he's chasing a girl, and they're through the yard. She turns around, and he sticks his arms out, and his arms just get super, super long. So now his arms are filling the whole alleyway. So it's not like she can even run past him, because his arms are so long, like abnormally long, and his razor blade fingers are scraping the side of the wall. That was pretty scary to me.
I think what was scary was when he attacks one of the girls, and then you realize that she's dreaming.
Well, that's the whole gimmick of this movie, and it's in the title, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
So Freddy Krueger you find out his backstory. He was a child murderer that was killing kids in the neighborhood, and all the parents who are the parents in this film, they trap him and they kill him. They burn him up in a factory that he was hiding out in, an abandoned factory. And that's why he's all burnt. But he's essentially like a vengeful spirit.
Yeah.
So but he's not a ghost. He comes to the children when they're asleep and dreaming. So, that's the only time he can hurt you. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. So you get a bad dream, but the problem is whatever happens in the dream when Freddy's there happens in the real world. So if he stabs you in the chitlins, you wake up with your chitlins hanging out.
Right, which is partly psychological, because whatever your brain believes, it tells your body.
Really?
Learned that in a psychology class.
Ah.
Fun fact.
I have sex a lot in my dreams.
Yeah.
And so does that count?
If your brain believes it.
Can I add to my total number?
I think so.
Okay. Good to know.
I'm not a psychologist.
I'm way more experienced than I thought.
Yes. And fun fact, too, about this movie, I didn't realize till the middle, was that Johnny Depp is in this movie.
Yes! Did you never see this movie before
I never saw it. No,
this?
Never saw it.
Johnny
Always
Depp.
Heard of it.
It's his, I believe it's his film debut, right? This is long before 21 Jump Street, which was a TV show he did when he was real young, and it's way before Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. Yeah, he's in this film. I would call it a supporting role in this film. It's not a big role, but
right.
It's kind of an important role. Shot in 32 days, this movie.
Wow.
And as I said, virtually all of the effects were practical effects, no CGI. You know how many gallons of fake blood they used in this film?
20.
500 gallons of fake blood.
Wow.
And
a lot of fake blood.
We talk about Freddy, right? Freddy Krueger only has 7 minutes of screen time in this movie. I would have thought way more. I mean, the whole movie is about Freddy, and finding Freddy, and how do we defend against Freddy. And 7 minutes of screen time. And unlike the sequels, he doesn't have a lot of lines, and he's not, what he does have is not very quippy, and that adds to the terror. Mm-hmm. Because if I have somebody that's chasing me and wants to kill me, but all they're doing is cracking corny jokes, I don't find that funny anymore. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't find that scary, I find it funny. So this movie is way stronger, I think, than any of the other Elm Street movies.
Right.
The hero, the girl, protagonist, is played by Heather Langenkamp. Now she's done some other stuff, but this is what she's known for.
Right.
The Nightmare on Elm Street movies has put her on the map. It's kept her on the map, and she actually loves it. She's not one of these actresses like, oh God, it's exploitation, blah 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 blah. I think she's pretty thankful that she was in this franchise, and I've met her once. I met her at a convention.
Did you?
Yeah, she's very sweet gal. Yeah, I'm not a stalker.
Okay.
I met her.
I didn't think that.
Yeah.
I know.
There's murders going on. There's legit murders. I mean, Freddy's doing it in their dreams, but the kids, essentially wake up dead. And the kids all figure out, once they learn who the hell Freddy Krueger is and was in their lives and their parents' lives, they know it's Freddy.
Right.
But the adults, this is a weird little twisty thing. So the adults are not typical adults in most horror movies where the kids are like, Mom, Dad, there's a monster in the woods. And they're like, and they just smoke their pipe and eat their pancakes or whatever. There's dead bodies that are usually in the bed, or whatever, and it looks like they've been murdered. It looks like they've been stabbed by a knife because, he's a dream, sort of. He doesn't leave behind evidence.
Right.
So the adults are all like, okay, who's doing these murders? Is it a boyfriend? Is it a drifter, in town? And the kids are like, no, it's Freddy Krueger. You guys thought you killed him, but he's coming to us in our dreams and blah, 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 blah. So it's believable because the adults are kind of behaving like you would hope an adult would behave rationally. Like, stop it with this paranormal mumbo-jumbo kid. Somebody stabbed this kid with a knife. That's all there is to it. So they have two separate storylines, but it's believable.
Right. This film saved New Line Cinema from bankruptcy. This film was that successful.
Yeah, they were going under, and this film just made them a crap ton of money.
I love those stories.
Well, they're still around to this day, thankfully.
The director, Wes Craven, was actually considering other people for the role of Freddy, including an unnamed stuntman.
Yep. And David Warner, a pretty famous actor too, he did makeup tests and stuff. But in the end, they were big guys. Classic, we need a scary, shape to chase the girls through the woods and stuff, so we want a big guy. And Wes Craven, he saw Robert Englund's screen test, and Robert Englund's like a little guy. He's not tall, he's not muscular, he's a little lithe little fellow, and that made him like Weasley. Like, this is a guy that preys on children. So he could be any size. He doesn't have to be 8 feet tall to be threatening to children. And Wes Craven said, Robert Englund captured the smarmy evil of the character better than anybody else. And he's made a crap ton of money doing the Freddy Krueger character. Lines from the movie.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
I say that to people just as they're falling asleep, just to mess with their head.
I like that.
I'll kill you slow!
It's like algebra class.
It's a lot like algebra class.
Don't look at me like I'm some fucking fruitcake or something.
If you were a fruitcake, what flavor would you be? One of the best horror movie directors. How many pumpkins would you give it? I'm sorry, I'm giving it 5.
I think it deserves a 5.
This is a 5 pumpkin movie.
This is 5 pumpkins, for sure.
It spawned a gigantically successful horror franchise. There are true moments of terror in this film. And Freddy Krueger's a fantastic... She's trying to give it 4.
5.
Truly successful and fascinating character. And the best part about all the sequels is the development of Freddy's backstory and origin story, I think. But other than that, this is probably
definitely
the scariest Freddy Krueger movie. And it's definitely a 5. So
if we looked up horror in the dictionary, this movie would be in that definition.
Right.
That's how good. Perfect horror movie.
Yeah. But there's a picture of your face there.